Namo Manjo Shri Namo So Shri Namo Namo Shri So Namo Manjo Shri Namo So Shri Namo Namo Shri So Namo Manjo Shri Namo So Shri Namo Namo Shri So Kedan Sugi Junan Lai Janju Padu Dandi Gyatsu Chi Dagi Chunye Kibe Sunangi Dola Benche Sange Juba Shu Kedan Sugi Junan Lai Janju Padu Dandi Gyatsu Chi Dagi Chunye Kibe Sunangi Dola Benche Sange Juba Shu Kedan Sugi Junan Lai Janju Padu Dandi Gyatsu Chi Dagi Chunye Kibe Sunangi Dola Benche Sange Bege Juche Medo Dang, Rally Shini Deke Body, Sange Shindo Mide Wai, Lugananda Shino Juba, Idan Guru Rana Metala Gandhi Adaya.
대화되자 란도 고로 지금 공연 바히 뭐 대가 피지자는 등재지 만드는 대치 표준 소바를 되는 쪽으로 된바 주치 된바 다부셔 다시 말하면 신기하고 또 샤마고
All sentient beings have been our mothers. All sentient beings have been our mothers not just once, for numberless times. They are as kind as our mothers of this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering, however, due to engaging wrongly in the object of abandonment and object of adoptions, they create a karma to experience the sufferings of the result of suffering only. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mother sentient beings had excellent happiness. May all kind mother sentient beings have excellent happiness. I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have excellent happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
That teaches imagination. Teaches one that religion, religion, religion,
Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings. First, we think, how nice if the body of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue, such as sickness, pain, and problems caused by 4 elements. May the body of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. I will cause the body of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
That teaches the imagination to the tongue, the eating each other, the mental power, the Tada general.
Next, we think, how nice if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. May the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue, such as fear, anxiety, coarse and subtle conceptual thoughts. I will cause the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
That teaches it in Jiji Mandinachi. Muhammad Zilas, Majing, and what Tara, Tada, Jim, Tawachi, Tawa, Tavisha, Tibetan,
We continue to think, how nice if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue, such as lying and those negative speeches. May the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. I will cause the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. In brief, how nice if 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. May 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. I will cause 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all discordant class for accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice if all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all sufferings and the causes of sufferings. May all sentient beings be free from all sufferings and the causes of suffering. I will cause sentient beings to be free from all sufferings and causes of suffering. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, by asking ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms? I should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. However, I do not have the ability to do so now. Who have the abilities? Only those who have achieved the perfect complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will become Buddha. Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind. Our conventional, aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will become Buddha. These transform into a perfect white mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness. There is all phenomena are lacking of inherent existence. That transform into a white 5-pronged vajra on top of the mundis. Next, we meditate on emptiness, that I exists neither intrinsically one with nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically.
더 뒤에서 와서 이제서 파션도 나는 생각이 상이 방패지 개친 것이 되면서 주진님이나 내사 공스 집이 가서 관리지 제발이 내사 공스 제발이나 그것은 이제 계속 관리지 있는 신제 통지 체도 봐. 아, 이서 공세야 부지 상당도 거이나 나도 이제 막 저도 좀 그랬어.
And it's also very important to conjoin these sessions with the practice of 6 perfections. And the first practice is the practice of generosity. And generosity is mainly about the mind of giving. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever roots of virtue that I accumulate, I give it to all sentient beings.
더 내사 공스 집이 가서 내사 공스 집이 가서 리노그 니징에 받는 책임도 오기 인사들이 공세야 보시죠 도이나 아주 스트레스가 또 공세 차 좋아 어디에 진지 하시냐는 생각했어.
And in order to conjoin these sessions with the practice of morality, we must have minds of abandonment. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal negativities.
더 뒤에서 먼저 배 내사 공스 집이 가서 리신나 강에 같이 쉬고나 동네 들어 방도 내도 가지 쇠도 가지 지금 인사들이 좋아이나 예 당도 нем버 시바이나 안테 간다 쇠비 파신 많이 있습니다. 쇠바서는 맞은 딱 간다 지금 리신 등에 당도 내봐 요와 문주기 있습니다. 요와
And next is the practice of patience. And patience is an undisturbed mind. So it's a mind that bears the physical, bears or be patient with the physical and mental suffering. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever physical or mental hardships that occur, I will willingly accept it. I will be patient with it.
당와서 내사 공스 제바데 내사 공스 제바데 예와도 신지 대셔시도 인사 생년 받죠. 근데 요와라 또 하시죠 바이나 당와서 전지 파시스 그래 전지서 나서 요와라 또 있으면 요와.
Next is the practice of joyous effort. And joyous effort is mind enthusiastic for virtue. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I would take delight in accomplishing virtues and working for the welfare of sentient beings.
더 뒤에서 먼저 상대지 파신 많이 생각나. 더 상대에서 먼저 세계인이 강루지를 배지기도念같이 대부분으로 와서 미샤도 봐. 더 미바 간다 신다 나도도 나요도 마서 세계를 내도는 더 상대지 파신 많이 생각해요. 상대에서 먼저 세계인이 강루지를 배지기도念봐. 약간 상대에서 와서
Next is the practice of meditative concentration. And meditative concentration is one's mind single-pointedly observing any of the virtuous object. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will single-pointedly focus my mind on the virtuous object and do not get distracted by any other coarse or subtle conceptual thoughts.
다시를 파시면은 저는 저게 가도지게 지슈티에기 치다 됐어. 레바 시트 같이. 레바 시트 보면 내사 보스 제바데 피어럽 쳔버여 봐시바. 뭐 들리지 좀 많이나. 다시를 파시면은 그래서 제가 남기지 넣어서 뭐라고 해서
And the last one is the practice of wisdom. And wisdom is an awareness that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, so whatever words of the teachings and meanings of the teachings, if we properly understand those words of the teachings and meanings of the teachings and objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions, then we will be able to conjoin these sessions with the practice of actions.
통지도 선지식 것도 뒤에 지금 내가 계속 빠지는 지금 분들이 지키는 나는 지금도 지금 인생을 사람들이 그거야 지셨어.
Set motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will become Buddha. And in order to achieve this purpose, I will properly receive the commentaries on the holy teachings, Heart Sutra, and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
당가서 같이唱的嘛学语那开始唱的当部练习的练习挺好的哇那这个那个特别的中间的这个小的部分的领域的城市的给你讲他这个学的是的这个的人嘛是吧他这个学的这个你讲的嘛早的意思嘛是吧
So previously we talked about the common prologue. So the common prologue is from this did I hear one time or thus did I hear one time. The Bhagavan was abiding on pile of vultures pig in Rajagriha together with a great sangha of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas.
That's our summary. That kind of consider Roji T-shirt and that don't do much and the teaching us that don't the Jabi Katumde pieces of Lama Tumde is what another member prison number Jabi cause Jabi is a near pieces of getting the core pieces of or pieces of the core pieces of Tamada Kanda touch to shoot yes, that range to shoot yes, to get Shivara, take you to shoot yes thing.
So the Bhagavan was abiding on piles of vultures pig in Rajagriha together with a sangha of monks and an assembly of bodhisattvas. So this common prologue talks about or indicates the 5 excellences or 5 perfections, such as the perfect teacher, perfect place, or excellent teacher, excellent place, and excellent retinues or entourage. So for example, Bhagavan is the perfect teacher or excellent teacher. On piles of vultures pig in Rajagriha, there is a perfect place, and with a great sangha of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas, that indicates the perfect entourage. So they are so these 5 excellences or these 5 perfections are abide together.
The touch the shoe bars, the hinge the shoe bars, deal with that quantity of the hinge the shoe bars, touch the shoe bars, quantity of the hinge the shoe bars.
Yeah, so together here, if translated literally, then it would be abide in one method. So basically, abide in one method also same meaning as together.
That and the talking as a dip and the tear dilemma, touch is the tiny choga, jabba, teen timber USD and the Jalan Timbandona, needing quoted and the Jaban Timber Shada, the Jaban Timber, the Shaman taxi.
So as I mentioned just now, here you see in Rajagriha together, right? So together is the English translation for Tapji. So this Tapji, if translated literally, then it would be a method or one method. So method here, because the Tapji shim, the shikatsa that's all. Oh, that's all. So in Tibetan is tap jig. So tap is method, jig is or one. So then when they translate into English, then it becomes together. So tap refers to or means behavior or activity, and or one it means concordant.
That kind of Shuba Seldon, touch the Shuba Seldon as a journal Shuba, Chilton Shuba, number Shuba, non-eligible Shuba, the Chidantino Shishiwa. Then the Katoji was a city like Shuba's only, was a Katoji per journal, Timber Shuba, the Delisha, the journal Timber Shuba as a Delisha.
So in brief, it means that the audience was concordant in activity or concordant in behavior or in conduct. So abide in one method. So abide itself has 4 meanings. So abide in physical posture, abide in teaching the doctrine, abide in samadhi, and abide in correctly residing within. So in this context, this abide in one method or in English, then it's translated as just together, one word only. So this abide here in this context refers to abide in physical posture.
다치다 병에비네스는 가서 최대비 슈가를 넘바셰비 슈가를 냥데 안단조 가서 다 넘바샤바는 가서 두딩에서 넘바샤바 최대비 슈가서 가서 지나 되자 팀을 나와는 가서 때 이마 금난주 뭐 최대 리간다 병에비네스를 슈데다 간다 되자 팀을 몰랐다 간다 이마 금난주 최대에 들이 슈고요 말와 때 간다 딩에서 넘바샤는 이마 가서 되자 팀을 나와는 딩에서 넘바샤 슈디와 어디 다다 대응비네즈라 최대비 슈바르 남바샤비 슈바르 남데 안다 조바 슈바르 다 냥데 안다 조바 세나 지다 가서 간다 리세 인지를 예바 리데스 인지를 봐 예바 세 나도 스티니 슈바들이 간다 세 나도 디니 슈바들이 와 그다 대응비네즈라 사만상데 예스와 다 카틀라데 치들라 가서 때 저랑 좀 슈바스 딜마 치들 거 컨디션이 지고와
Yeah, so in fact, if even though in this commentaries, abide, the word abide here refers to abide in physical posture. As it says here, this is a case of abiding in physical posture. However, here, the abide actually can link to all these four types of meanings. So abide in physical posture is already mentioned. So abide in samadhi. So like for example, the Buddha Shakyamuni, he abide in the concentration or the meditative equipoise, and abide in teaching the doctrine. So even though Buddha, what appeared, even though those disciples see that Buddha was in the meditative equipoise, however, Buddha was giving the teachings. Yeah, so Buddha was giving the teachings as well. 원이 지나디 가서 또 좀 된데 양 송슈디 남기로 와요.
송슈디 남기로 가서 단단 디가서 송진하데 신진을 송슈디 남기로 와. 대가서 링와 빛나지도 때 중고야 말. 가서 링와 빛나지부터 때 송진 남기로 말. 예, 가서 통슬을 때 띵엔들 남바샤나 딜리투. 디 남바 딘데 사드 남바샤가 남바시. 배 돈디 띵 상지 존디 가서 디자가 남고라 사드 남바샤가 남바시. 남바 딘데 그랬어. number shall be number of Jimata. No, anything not going to choose it, which will not be the literature number 2 of specific now. The thing is, she will be doing what?
Yeah. So was abide in teaching the doctrine. So and this teaching the doctrines were it refers to the blessed teaching. So even though Buddha Shakyamuni didn't manifest physically and verbally giving the teachings, however, Buddha gave the blessed teachings. And abide in correctly residing within. So abide in correctly residing within, meaning the physical. It refers to the physical and also refer to the mental as well. So physically isolated from the worldly affairs, and mentally correctly withdraw inside or withdraw inwardly.
방어도 되다 마도도 지시다 타지도 슈데다 코데다다 렌치도 슈데에서 다 슈바 데이체세 다 데이체다 렌치 팀모 많이 가지고 와 슈바 데이체 존리데 서머나 시제 치마다지 되는 나는 거 슈스 다 코데다다 타지도 렌치도 슈데 다 상지 존리데 가르 나고르 저바 가르 제거 레스다 되는 거 좋아하는 아와이나 데리 차대 타지도 슈바 데이체세 타슈바 데이체 그 상지 존리지 가르난 거여레세 가르난 거여서 좋아하는 수수부터 도할 좀 좋아하는 수수가 그 와이나 데이체 상지 존리데 또 띵에들 남바 샤리 슈디네 예세 가데 와 데이체.
So when the Bhagavan was abiding on piles of birches big in Rajagriha together with a great sangha of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas, then you may ask questions what they were doing. So then Buddha was at the time the transcendent victor was absorbed in a samadhi on the categories of phenomena called perceptions of the profound. So this is what Buddha was doing at that time.
That day, but they say the village is raw. Court the Pata gets a minute, the church there, the dealer over dates says. A dealer over dates, nothing in the number shall be take out of Coloma, my the shower raw. What date says, or this is a cashier.
So start from at that time up to this point is the uncommon prologue. So this at that time, so just now one way to interpret these words is Buddha at that time was absorbed in the samadhi on the categories of phenomena called perceptions of the profound, right? So another perspective to interpret these words at that time, it refers to the entourage or the retinues or the audience. So at that time, the audience, at that time when the roots of virtue of the audience were ripened, so it was time for the Buddha to give the teaching. So at that time can also be interpreted from the perspective of the audience as well.
That is a chance the nation Timor, the Abongas and Mazin sharing with Situation of the They is a 20 Samoan or Hidden number to the number shoes. That sit Delman was of someone that was down to the Chili that was three.
Yeah, so starting the uncommon prologue. So there is one sentence here. At that time, the transcendent victor was absorbed in a samadhi on the categories of phenomena called perceptions of the profound. So this sentence is what I'm going to explain today.
Dila po pe kya sambo de liji chu ti sha de swa dite na zo so la tse jana wa so la tse jana na zo samwa be shero nim bo pe de pe na ne thesa ko su chi gi dila po bi so ge cha de mi de da da na zo ge cha mi de swa ya ne che de ga sambo ji chu de da mi kang ga de shero nim mo ya ne che gi ge cha de mi de dila po mo do dila po mo da na zo pe shero nim mo ya ne che gi So
even at that time, these first three words at that time can also be linked to oneself as well. So at the time when my own roots of virtue had ripened, and it was time to study and practice the Heart Sutra through listening, contemplating, and meditating on it. So, because not everyone has such, because it wasn't the time for everyone to study Heart Sutra. Only those whose roots of virtue had ripened, then it is the time for those roots of virtue had ripened to study and practice the Heart Sutra, since it is not applicable to everyone. Thus, we should consider ourselves very fortunate.
That gets a minute, here in the Swagi, Dilla Povatata, Sweden to check in what here in the Soyarwa. Sora. That was so there, do not see that. Not to share something to the Deja meeting court, that would pay Hula Mazo, Jeremy Monani Chiagi, Dilla, or the gets a minute, other Cogachundi. That time is not that serious. What? Here is the car. This is much more.
Yeah. So we ourselves, due to our roots of virtue have ripened, that we have the opportunity to study and practice Heart Sutra. So this is the fact. So we should rejoice in ourselves, and we should generate delights in ourselves as well. Because at that time, when Bhagavan was teaching the Heart Sutra to the disciples, it was the time when the roots of virtue of the disciples had ripened or were ripened also. So we are part of this audience. So we are part of this audience as well. We are considered to be a part of this audience as well. So because of our roots of virtue have ripened, that we have the opportunity to study this. So this is something that we should feel happy and rejoice in ourselves. So, and again, at that time, so these words indicates the quality of time. Sorry, the attributes, the time attributes. Yeah. So at that time indicates the time attributes. So time attribute means that it was the time for Buddha Bhagawan to give the teachings to the disciples whose roots of virtue had ripened. So similarly, for us, and our roots of virtue have ripened, and it is the time for us to study and practice our sutra. Yeah. So we should recognize this and feel rejoice in ourselves, because our roots of virtue had also ripened, just like the time when the roots of virtue of the audience had ripened and had the opportunity to listen to the teachings. So we ourselves also should feel rejoice, because we should rejoice in ourselves because our roots of virtue had ripened as well. So that we have, so it is time for us, and we have the opportunity to study and practice the Heart Sutra, even though we do not, we do not receive teachings directly. However, the teachings remain for us to study. So at the time indicates the time attributes, right? And the transcendent victor, or Zhongdende in Tibetan. So transcendent victor indicates the teacher attributes, or the Dharma teacher's attribute. And then called a perception of a profound, right? So this word profound in Tibetan is called sammo. So these profound words indicates the object attribute. And what is this object? And this object is emptiness.
사모 동반이 또 띵인지 사모 동반이 또 띵인지도 유진 자들와 사모 동반이 돼 여러와 사모세와 여 나와 셔바데 사모 동반이 또 띵인지들
사모토 베팅인.
사모토 띵인지 사모토 띵인지 띵고 나와서 다 사모토 띵인지 돼 유진을 되려와
유진디 띵인지로 하죠.
유진지 제발 유진지 제발 나와 셔바 되게 유진지 제발 되는 거예스 유진지 제발 가서나 사모 나와 되게 사모 동반이 또비 띵인지 사모 동반도 띵인지인데 그런 유진이와 이거와 이제 제발 되는 거 나와서
And perceptions. So perceptions here indicates the subject attribute or the object possessor attribute. So these perceptions of the profound, as I mentioned just now, profound indicates the object attribute, right? Indicates the object, and perceptions indicates the subject or the object possessor. So these perceptions refers to the concentration that realizes the profound. Perceptions here is the concentration that realizes the profound. So perceptions is the object possessor or subject, and profound is the object.
다 간다 나와 세워대 오니 또 띵인지 세대된 거 근데 너도 가도 발라봐야 돼 나와 세워대 유진 되고 유진 가르치고선 돈이 또 띵인지 그런 유지래 돈발이 돼 열에 돈이 또 띵인지 돼 유지래
So in brief, perceptions of the profound means it refers to the concentration that realizes emptiness. Concentration that realizes emptiness is the meaning of these perceptions of the profound in brief.
어디로 와? 뭐야? 다 제바 같은 거 디지 제바, 땜비 제바, 유지 제바, 유진지 제바세, 제바 실로자서 다들 제바 시리들이 다 시에셔와 추진낭라세 다들 시 나가서 된 마셔이 디지 추진낭라 사만나와 시 추진낭라서 너무 다 추진낭라 추진낭라도 마셔이 있어.
Yeah, so next I'm going to talk about on the categories of phenomena.
다 추진낭라지 띵에들라 nomba 다 산지 존데 추진낭라지 띵에들라 nomba 휴소세 다 추진낭라세와 din에 다 가르치 되었으나 다 din에 마음이 차대 다 추진낭라세와 din으로 간다 취들라 네 마음이 가르치 되었으나 본보가 제지 존이 컴주지에세 무슨 되는 일이다 추진낭라잖아 다 본보가 컴주지 제지 존이 게도 동반이 거기 띵에제가 단 nomba 요래서 거 간다 좀 무슨 존이 들어와 추진낭라지 띵에들라 nomba 휴소서 본보가다 컴주지 제지 존이지 단지게 때도 동반이 또 띵인지 되라는 nomba 요래서 안 존이 돼 취지 넘버에 대도 띵인지서와 취지 공봉하게 되는 돈이 또 띵인다 카드로가는 공봉하게 될 돈도 띵인지 컴조지게 되는 돈이 또 띵인지 제지 존이 되는 돈이 또 띵인지 근데 띵인지 되라 그 산지 존되는 넘버 슈리 주디요 해서 그래 취지 넘버에 띵인지 넘버 슈스야
So categories of phenomena, categories of phenomena refers to 5 aggregates, 12 sources, and 18 constituents. So we have talked about this before. So categories of phenomena refers to 5 aggregates, 12 sources, and 18 constituents. So Buddha was set in the meditative equipoise. Was abide in the meditative equipoise, and in the meditative equipoise, concentration. So 5 aggregates, 12 sources, and 18 constituents. Then Buddha has the concentration that realizes the emptiness on the basis of 5 aggregates. Buddha also has the concentration that realizes the emptiness on the basis of 12 sources. And Buddha also has the concentration that realizes the emptiness on the basis of 18 constituents as well. And Buddha was abide in this meditative equipoise. Yeah. So at the time when Buddha was abiding then together with a great sangha of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas, and the Buddha, or the transcendent victor, was absorbing in the samadhi on the categories of phenomena called perceptions of the profound. Yeah, so profound here of the perceptions of the profound. So in brief, it refers to emptiness, right? So in these commentaries, it explains it is that which is difficult to appear to the mind. It is that which is difficult to appear to the mind. For example, it is not difficult to perceive the reflections of sun or moon in the lake. So in Tibetan, this word nangwa, so in English, then it's translated as perceptions, or it can be translated as the appearance as well. So just for information. So for example, it is not difficult to perceive the reflections of sun or moon in the lake, but it is difficult for the limits of space to appear on the surface of the lake. So in the same way, it is easy to perceive the conventional, but it is difficult to perceive the ultimate. So the reflections of the moon that reflects on water, then these reflections is easy to perceive. And because even our eye consciousness, our sense consciousness can perceive it as well. And this conventional is likened to the reflections, is easy to perceive. Then the limits of the sky, here they use the limits of space or limits of sky, then is difficult to appear on the surface on the water because it is too vast. So for it to appear on the water, and it is very difficult to perceive that, or this is the beginning of the sky or of the space, and this is the end of the space, and this is the middle of the space, and the ultimate is likened to the limit of space that is difficult to be perceived.
yeah, someone hears what that only to be things. Only to be things the Telema Shadi, Segura, something. Dodo Shivana, Sanji Jonde, Cote, the number should but days, only to be things in the number Shadi, yes, what happened. Katushina, Sinushina.
Yeah. And here in the commentaries, it says perceptions means the wisdom that understands something that profound or so profound. So in brief, as I mentioned just now, profound, this word refers to emptiness, and perceptions refers to the concentration that realizes emptiness, right? So basically, Buddha was in meditative equipoise, set on concentration, or set in concentration that realizes emptiness. So this is the meaning of perceptions of the profound.
That did what did a choosing numbers or did ma that choosing numbers or did a Pumbo can't teach the issue. That Pumbo was what also Pumbo Mayaram, Yonda, Sujibo as a supported that Sujibo as a support the Shigu, what the shut up. Someone didn't get that is a supported Sujibo, Sujibo. That's why Pumbo, the here Pumbo, the Shibu number he was Pumbo not there. Pumbo not.
So as I mentioned just now, the categories of phenomena are the aggregates, constituents, sources, and so forth. So aggregates are the 5 aggregates. So the form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. The form aggregates refers to this body that is composed of flesh and blood.
The Pumbo Hakosa Samage, Suji Pumbo another soy Pumbos another, not a soy, they were do not so mumble you are. But it's soy Pumbo, that soy Pumbo dish,
And the second aggregate is the aggregates of feeling. So aggregates of feeling refers to many types of happy feelings, the pleasant feelings and the unpleasant feelings.
So then the huge Pumbo Saving the here now so did it. Then a gobble, then a marble, then a sable is in the hit. In the hit one, the hish was what would be tiny, not so tongue is the here, but the hish what hish was what.
And the aggregates of discriminations. So, for example, this is white, this is red, and this is yellow. So these are an example for aggregates of discrimination.
So that's usually what's happening to the decision was then the decision was not let's say you samba let some of the contact decision was in December Leva was ending not to remember late some or later since you samba was for decision.
Yeah, and the next one is compositional aggregate of compositional factors. So those karma, so in when we say karma or the yela junior regular. Yeah, so for example, in the 12 links of dependent arising, then the second link was the karmic formations or the compositional factors, right? So this is the compositional fact. This karma, this word karma or karmic formations, then is compositional factors. So and those mental factors of intentions, and those are the example of those are compositional factors. And the last aggregate is aggregate of consciousness. So consciousness is the place where the imprints was left.
다 풍부하고 들렸다는 건 그때 예산에 따지다 월마 텐데 가도 될 월마 시르니 뭐 텐데 가도 리를 되나 단단히 로로 질라지 제려야 고다 쳐야 돼야지 아주 코알이 양도 제와랑한테 가서 풍부하고 들려 때는 간 코알 제와 양을 내는 예산을 보다 풍부하고 들려 때네 다 들려 때네 맞아 양은 또 나와라 마치한 로리도 나 배제와 돼 풍부하고 들려 때니 때 레산의 지원하는 거. 당가 되면 로로치에 이루어.
Yeah. So last one is aggregates of consciousness, and consciousness is the place where imprints lives, and these aggregates, these 5 aggregates, in dependence on these 5 aggregates, we circle in samsara by taking a different form in 6 transmigratory realms, such as taking rebirth in hell realms or taking rebirth in the human realm.
당가서 되는다는 쉬어야 돼. 당가서 수지 공부 가서 사진이 이제 수고 들어와. 수지 공부 들어와. 다 수지 공부 때문에 가르치는데 사진이 공부해서 체인들 앞에 레나서 사야 돼. 동안 나서 나기 시기지리스. 수지 공부. 체인들아. 세심만아마 등에 리야기 레나서 되니 만리야기로와 시기지 차도 돼. 세심만아마. 세심만 앞에 등에 나서 요약 시딩 차도요. 체인데 마치 세심만 강가라 간다. 막 가버려 그냥 레나서 봐야 돼. 공부 되게 차도. 맞아 공부네. 나 공부 늦게 사진인지 공부 늦게 되는데 때마다 레나서 사다 공부 늦게 시딩 들다. 시작하는 거. 수직 모델. 나 담보 수직 모델 예수 같다기.
So to understand the first aggregate, aggregates of form. So form aggregates. So form aggregates is the contaminated appropriated aggregates. Contaminated appropriated aggregates. And in these lives, these form aggregates is the basis for us to accumulate all sorts of karma. And these form aggregates in this life is also the basis for upon which we experience all sorts of suffering. And these form aggregates is also the basis upon which we experience, we accumulate karma and experience the future suffering.
당가서 단대 시벌이 수지 공부에서 들다. 다 수지 공부 내라 ጤ니 다 레나서 이 관리 용다 가서 수지 공부 내라 ጤ니 땡가서 소와 대와 동화 공간 내라 ጤ니 되고 다 간다. 또와 내라 ጤ니 소와 대와 소와 등이 소와 단용세 다 간다 마무리래요. 오 근데 공부 내라 ጤ니 땡가서 소와 대두 강가는 내라 ጤ니 되고 그랬어. 그 소와 대두 강가 내라 ጤ니 내와 순간 님바데 소위 공부하시 되래. 소위 공부 아무 수지 공부는 거 사이 봐. 사마디도 사마제세기 시기에 저희 수지 공부. 다 수지 공부 내가 때네. 저와 니도 강가는 내가 때네 용화선사 대제스 님바도 저희 공부해서 되래. 와.
So this form aggregates is the basis upon which we accumulate, we experience happiness and also suffering. So in dependence on these form aggregates, then we experience different feelings, so such as the pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and the neutral feelings. So the first one is the form aggregates, and in dependence on the first aggregate, the form aggregates, then we experience different feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral.
다들 의원에서 하고 오라면서 수지 공부들 앞에 저와 대화 동화 감리 주면이 다른 의원에서 하고 오래 리라피나 수행하서 봐 드립다 봐이나 저와 등이 내고래 다 리라서 봐 잠비 괴라서 봐 드리 이어 봐이나 저와 대화 내고로 세시 몰아서 봐 드립대 봐이나 대화 내고래 와 이거 저와 대화 내고래 와 어디에 엔가서 의원에서 하고 와야 돼 와.
Yeah, so the connections, the relationship between the first aggregates and the second aggregates is something that we can experience directly. So in dependence on the form aggregates, then we experience all sorts of feeling. So for example, if this body is pierced by a weapon, then we experience the unpleasant feeling or the suffering feeling. And when we put on a very smooth, a silky clothes, then we experience the pleasant feeling. And when we eat nice food, very delicious food, then we also experience pleasant feeling.
당가도 부모님이었다. 소위 부모님이었다. 이봐 소위 부모 주세요 봐. 다 소위 부모서 저와 대화 동안 대량의 소위 공부에 기슈이와 다 소와 대화 용화의 나진 냄자기 치를 대화를 해봐야지. 등에 주바데 디히 느리지 체등에 등에 중발에서 다 디히 들보다 소와 대화 용화의 진 냄자기 치를 대화를 해봐야지. 다 진의 상에 나서봐 민나서봐 다. 그러와 등에 용화의 딘디기 치는 가 등에 용화 소스. 거기 치는 가 등에 도와서 민 느리기 치는 등에 용화 소스. 다 디히나 저거 따고 간다. 등에 용화의 진 디히나서 봐. 소와 대화 용화의 디히나서 봐. 디히나서 따고 다들 정말 니히지 공부 들다 소와 대화 용역이 진주진 리치스는 배 니히나서 다 로다 다 소와 등의 용어나 니히나서 돈 로다 근데 도 당긴 니히데 다 정말 니히지 공부 들이
두시디 로다기요.
오 니히 로다 뭐다 니히나서 소와 대화 용어들 니히지 소와 대화 대바는 니히나서 오 등의 용어들 니히지는 등의 정말에서는 니히나서 왔다 자, 되는 디히데, 숨바 디히치 공부 데리다 된다.
So then you can see how it flows from the first aggregates to the second, right? So the first one is the form aggregates, and the second one is feeling aggregates. So feeling aggregates, then we talk about pleasant and unpleasant feelings. So because of this feeling, the pleasant feeling and unpleasant feelings, then it links to the third aggregates, which is discrimination aggregates. So these discriminations aggregates, it exaggerates. So it exaggerates or superimpose. For example, so due to these cause and conditions, the pleasant feelings is experienced, and because of this and that, the unpleasant feelings is experienced. So, for example, because of this person, I suffer. I suffer because of this person. I suffer because of you. I suffer because of him, another person, or he, she, etc. So, and similarly, then you also superimpose that I experience a pleasant feeling in dependence on this cause and these conditions.
다 되는 디히 숨바 디히지 공부 좋아. 단 디히나 소바 될 제발 되네. 단 영어 조치네. 내가 내상. 단 디히나 소바 될 때는 내상 거와. 소와 동아의 진주진들이 동아 대화의 주진들이 되리 디히나 소라 되네. 내가 내상 거다. 간다 영어 창상 배로 다 간다. 좋아. 배는 내상 그래서 시바 이게 주초도 디히지 공부 되래. 디지 공부는 나서 레디 와 디시 나서 따발라 때리 레산하고 간데 야와 안데 도 안데 자와 안데 니엠바세 근데 디시 나서 제발라 때리 레 나서 사 간다 다 레 나서 사바테 다 시반 디지 공부스 때리
근데 두시기 전도 yana 조다기자
조다는 거다 다 간다
조다 전도 말어
조도스다 조다스 데모
군대비 기샤디 말어 전도 yana 군대비 기샤 말어
kuba
민다바 가버러
kuba ta고레 론도 제고레 니가 누구라지라
두시기
원디시라
두시기 니가
데 많이 받아 레스나 이바라 많이 받아서 다 나서 간다 소소기 레원 사모 마토바치 날레 등에 이마다 콘시스 메르 디친 챔피언의 소아디의 콘시스 데 간다들이 고 탄이 나서 다 탄이 나서 노게 됐단 디히세 노게 돼
두시기 전도 단 군대 니가 지금
난 되는 디히 tellatini telesano 거라.
연 요몽이 좋지.
디히 tellatini다 control level, 나자 level, 타도 level, 찬소 level 와. 되게 좋다 봤더니. 그때 설 level 레산노 거라 간다.
So these discriminations it superimposes, it also denigrates denigrates or denies, and it also imputes. So this is what discrimination do. So discriminations, as I mentioned just now, because then it starts to label things, or it starts to superimpose things, or start to deny things. Like, for example, I'm happy because of you, or because of this and that, and I suffer because of you and this person or that person. So we never think that whatever we experience is because of one's karma, and we always blame others. For example, especially when we experience sufferings. So because of these discriminations, then afflictions arises. Because of or in dependence on such discriminations, then afflictions arises. Afflictions arises, and we accumulate karma. We accumulate karma, and this karma refers to the fourth aggregates, which is the compositional factors or the karmic formation.
단 니시 나서 따발아 뛰는 것은 레사는 것도 레데 단 니시 공부스들다 레 레사바 레데 니시 공부스들이 당하다 레 나서 사바 단 니시 때라티네 페 나서 페 단데 저 공부 마자티 녀무베 페레 사말리고로와 뭐다 딜티네 데 가다 레사바데 레데 데가는 니시 공부 시바데 당하다 로와
So in dependence on all sorts of discriminations, then afflictions arise. And for example, anger, attachment, pride, etc. So these afflictions arise, and because of this arising of afflictions, we create karma. So this karma is the fourth aggregates, which is called compositional factors, or in other words, karmic formation.
다 시반 디지지 공부 되게 레산 디지지 공부서 레 차소나 단 디지지 공부서 근데 레 되게 데 바차 야고 상보 지나 나시데도 샤자레 녜바치는 나시데도 샤자레 데 나시데 맞아 디지지 나시지 공부 니바 데 근데 나시 되게 데 상보 여바이나 코 상보데 코네 제와 상보 지난 로자 녜바디 여바이나 레디기 샤브 바샤데 녜바 제바이나 데 녜바 대왕게 데 제와 녜바 지나 로그다 간다 다 콘나시지 공부다 꼬라지는 로게 들어와 꼬라지는 로게 들어 다 콜라 야와도 두니가 kunnyam도 커야 다 간다 데 코네 코 야부 슈체보이나 코 야살 야로자 그래 지고 맨조 까보 데 간다 랑까보라 로야 야부 제바이나 까보 로자 그래 나폴로에 지고지나 코 나폴 로자 다 간다 코네 로가 자고 다 시간 나시지 공부스 되래 다 장이 가리나 코네 로가 다 간다 코네 나서 딱 되고 가기 시작이다 가서 딱 되고 가기 시작이다
Yeah, so in dependence on this fourth aggregates, which is the compositional factors or karmic formations, then it leaves imprint on the consciousness, so which is the fifth aggregates, consciousness aggregates. So regardless it is a good imprint or it is a bad imprint, so as long as the karma is created, then it leaves imprints on the consciousness. So this consciousness is the one that circles in samsara. Consciousness is the one that circles in samsara. So if due to the bad imprints, if the bad imprints is heavier, then it leads one to the, it leads to the bad rebirth. And if the good imprint is heavier, then it leads to the good rebirth.
다 풍부한 같은 로사 장도 풍부하는 가서 다레 다다상에 다 나시 되게 레데 바샤 나시데 샤고 다 나시데 레 바샤 상보이다 하이 다비실이야 안도야다 다비실이야 안도야다 데 녜바진도나 냐와라 마 필요하지다 다 된도기다 로 리투카다 다 코코라진도야 다 간다 코라진은 로야데 담보리 마서 다상가서 데 수지 풍부는 마 림바기도 두즈마 제당데 꼬라진 로가 좀 맞아라고 담보 수지 풍부는 마 로소아 뭐 대하고지 다 꼬라진 두즈 로랑도 있다네 자 이게 로야데 맞아라고 나서 수지 풍부네 손에 대마 림바기도 수지 소위 뭐 니게 본 남바기 뭐 마림바기도 로소아 뭐 디지 바기 라티니 나서 꼬라지야 레디 사도 간다 얘기 바샤도 로도 아티
Yeah, so because and this is how it the five aggregates, how the previous one links to the later one. So the last one is the consciousness where the imprints of the karma lives. So if the imprints is the good one is heavier, then it leads to the good rebirth, such as being born in the Pure Land in God realms, for example. And if the bad imprints or the negative imprints is heavier, then it leads one to the rebirth in hell, hungry ghosts, or even animal realms as well. So this is how one circle in samsara. So why one circle in samsara? Because the cause has already collected, and how the course of samsara started. The course of samsara starts with the form aggregates. So because of the form aggregates, then the feeling, then we experience feeling, and because of the feelings, then the discrimination comes and start to infuse, etc. Then we start to accumulate a karma, and because of this karma, it leaves imprints on the consciousness. Then this is how one circle in samsara.
That is some ya was talking about also less I can also subutiki cheater or that subundiki cheater. Mazo pe betse karma karche pe jeba in a dig cheater janja mazo or dig cheat. That's some ya was talking about fish passion pa chitane less I get limada. Dodo said shiro pa mineko lesa de some marezo. The shiro pa lega karleva so dig cheat. Digi sugun digi cheto ngaso gidi le kanga sa digi cheto ta so o digi cheto suza ta de ngaso tede na chini kora je ta chida gola lever mi tanda de shula ma chilo di godan chya che ta ma amo mo ji ji so wa.
This is like a brief this is like introductions for us to understand as in more detail in future. So this is more like introductions for all of us. So we have, if we think properly, then whatever karma that we accumulate for the sake of this form aggregates or this body. So if we think properly, so whatever karma that we accumulate for the sake of this body. So even if the karma, when we accumulate karma, then we don't really observe something external. So we accumulate karma for the sake of this body. So we should think, inward instead of seeing outward. So, and whatever external work we do it for the sake of this form body, this form or this body, form aggregates or this body as well.
Andang asama tiba samagi sena pe indigi je sanaji topaji le tobaji chemu wa dingi ma chi chi de topaji ma le baina ye tata le tuye marwa topai so so topaji indigi je do sanaji ren pe so so pe kanda seno pe dizi chawa boshi indigi je do sanaji pe diji le kudwa chamu ha ma go baina wata switch kumbosna indigi je do so you was the time to do the party in Rotan to us. Less at the party Rotan to us. What the Roro Penge, so much Burta. Yitanga, Rotan to us. Then at the 10 days after the less of did that, then that was a day. Less out, what a generate.
So these 5 aggregates, which I have just taught, it's very good. Yeah, we should. Make this, we should internalize this understanding of these 5 aggregates in our mind. So even if we do not understand it in a very subtle level, so at least we should understand in the course level how how the aggregates, the previous aggregates leads to the next aggregates. So at least we must develop some understanding of how the previous aggregates leads to this, the next aggregates. And this is a brief way to explain how one accumulates karma on the basis of 12 links of dependent arising as well.
Yeah, that was a pumbo on the Panilota to see that this Hakovachirua. That the Jelen on the Didua, that pumbo comes in that come to Jesse or come to G.
And then the next one, this is aggregates, the 5 aggregates that I mentioned just now. And the next one is constituents.
Constituent, Lori, the typical of the Jindosa, the Sept Jindosa, that's not the Jindosa, Jinchi Junis, the sort comes to the Jindosa, Lorina. She had the one such a Lorina, the Purple Casavan Libra, the Northern Shua.
So regarding constituents and sources, if you had attended awareness and knower or Loric class or the subject, then you have known what 18 constituents are and what 12 sources are already.
그 칸다 진진님도 당분의 진실의 시작은 비슷하게 근데 칸들라 저기 진실의 종이로 와 종이 당분의 마 진실의 시작은 비슷하다는 차이로 와 진실 종이.
Yeah. So I will first introduce what 12 sources are, and then followed by 18 constituents. It's easier to understand this way.
다 진실 종이에서 가서 시 진실은 너무 진실에서 되는 상황. 진실 종이는 시 진실 주能进去住，是进去住是个生的，是吧？能进去住，是进去住。
So regarding these sources, so there are 12 sources, and these 12 sources is divided into two, 6 internal sources and 6 external sources.
다是进去，能进去，是进去，能进去是哪？对，就是拒绝对吧？是不是？然后呢，拒绝对吧了，能给进去。 랑이 주주 마디가 싫어네 요바들라 파 수수 줄라 치자 먹어봐 파쇼네 파 요바들라 시 진지스라 왔다 와 시진지 아뭐 랑이 진지의 시진지 제발하고 들어와 랑이 진지스 수수 줄라 수디바지 시진지 수수 줄라 마디바 파쇼네 파 요바라시
Sure, 요바라시. So regarding also the difference between internal sources and external sources is internal sources is that which is pervaded by the continuum, or that is included within the continuum, and external sources is that which is not included within the continuum, something like things, for example, the external things.
다 나오기 진짜 줘. 다 나오기 진짜 줘야 나서 딱 되어버려. 나서 린도 살이 놀이 되서 세세주가 너무 살와 나오기 진짜 좋으시나 다 미기 진짜 나이 진짜 지지 리 진짜 이 진짜에서 내 줘드래 로 대주다 진짜 세나 맞나 미기 한번 나야 한번 지어自己 줘드래 간다 이 정도 봐 왕보 줘드래 간다
남기 계시로
남기 진짜 당가서 미기 진짜 나이 진짜 미기 진짜스나 미기 홍보들에 나이 진짜 나이 홍보들에 간다. 좋아. 어딜만 미다데 진짜 따고 진짜 좋아. 어디 제 조가도 맞아 이지 진짜 봐 사마 수수 지주 디바 새로 와. 수수 지라 디디로 와대. 어디 어디들 좀 진짜 좋겠지. 미기 진짜 나이 리지 제지 리지 진짜 좋지. 어디 제 좋다.
Yeah, so internal sources are those that which is included within one's continuum, or that is pervaded by one's continuum. So what are these internal 6 sources? So these 6 sources are eye source, ear source. So basically are these eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So these we always talk about your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Then you add source behind the words. So you become eye source, ear source, tongue source, body source, and etc. So basically, this eye source refers to the eye sense power. So eye source is eye sense power, ear source is ear sense power, tongue source is tongue sense power.
다 너무 진짜 좋아. 다시 진짜 좋다래. 수지 진짜 저 취지 진짜 대주는. 다들 너무 싫어를 봐. 나는 아주 주지 누가 새끼들 신고 봐. 왜냐 수지 진짜스나 미시 진짜 내도 가본 거지. 내도 가본 수지 진짜 좋아. 뭐 미시 진짜 좋아. 어디 되나시. 다 저로 이제 좀 가자로.
진짜 되어야 쳐.
쳐 봐. 다들 싫어를 봐는 수지를 줘요 말아. 다시 진짜스 너무 진짜. 좋아.
Yeah, so the external sources are that which is not included within one's continuum. For example, those external things. So these externals, 6 external sources are form, sound, smell, taste, object of touch, and phenomena. Form, sound, smell, taste, object of touch, and phenomena. So these are 6 external sources. So, for example, a white flowers, then this white flowers is a form source.
다 진실 종이 있는 거야 주세대. 진짜 존이 슬로게 주실 것이나 템바 나시 주 지 조아 고레서 템바 나시 주 다 진짜 존이 대차서와 진짜 존이 들라 진짜 존이 시 담고 도스 땡고에 존이 시 로게 주실 것이나 템바 나시 주 지 조아 고레서 템바 나시 주지 조아 고我电影比差呢，电把那些对这就按过瘾比差呢，经济中立是，就是电把也是看的，是吧？经济中立的想法也是吧？经济中立想法就这点，电把那些对这就按过瘾比差呢，经济中立的想法也是。
Yeah, the reasons of calling it 12 sources is because because they are the causes or the doors to generate. So they are the causes or doors to generate the 6 supported consciousnesses. Yeah. So the reason of calling it 12 sources is because they are the causes or they are the doors, the entrance, they're the doors to generate the 6 supported consciousnesses.
다 템바 나치 주지 저 고레세 다 정서 음악 로조 기디 맞아 로비 카드니 상방 하고 살와 템바 나치 주지 저 고레스 간다 나치 템바 나치 주 가레 내기 나이나 지나기 이지 나치 받아 좋아 이지 나치 좋아 와다 대주보대 지 저도 가서 저 달라 대주더래 다 간다 지지 좀 들래 대주지에 그 스나 고스나 대주더래 대존이들 지지 좀 들래.
Yeah. So if you have attended Loric class or awareness and knowledge class, then you would have known about this already. So what are these 6 supported consciousnesses? So these 6 supported consciousnesses are the eye consciousness, ear consciousness. So basically eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind consciousness. So these 6 types of consciousnesses are the 6 supported consciousnesses. So these 12 sources that I have just mentioned, so they are the causes or they are the doors to generate the supported 6 consciousnesses.
다들 진시 존의 시위리 템바 노시 주디야 자우디 다 칸조지 샤사. 템바 칸조지. 진시 존이 칸 템바 노시 주디야 제리 그 조지 다다 차서와. 그 칸조지 진시 존이 들어서디 내가 템바 노시 주디야 제리 칸조지 시대 다 간다.
Yeah, why I mentioned that it's easier to explain sources first, followed by constituents, is because the 12 sources that we have mentioned, then plus the 6 supported consciousnesses, then it becomes the 18 constituents. 12 sources plus 6 supported consciousnesses, then it becomes 18 constituents.
다 템바 나시 주디 진시 존이 레버다. 템바 나시 주디 진시 존이 레버리. 진시 존이 템바 나시 주디 유래. 다때 준비 되는 것만 뭐 시사리 양 앉아 저 그래서 지지 쉬어야 좋아.
Yeah. So 12 sources are the cause for 6 supported consciousnesses. Thus, 6 supported consciousnesses are the result of 12 sources. So this is the causal relationship between them.
他记得我背上了，是背记了小人呢。他没给我们的哪个进去了哇？没去给暑假的被没给我们的哪个进去？没去给暑假没到那个的，是进去了哇？但是进去，那等你个的没到这边没去的就差点了哇？没到这边没去的，没到这边没去的，然后题目嘛有大致没给我们的哪个进去的哇？没到这边没去的，然后题目嘛有大致没给我们的哇？哪个进去？是进去没去的输的哇？输的哇？有的，我在等你的没到这边没去的结果了哇？没给我们的题目嘛有大致些，有的没到这个有没接了哇？没接，我没接进来，但原这边没到这边没去的结果了哇？但没去的就大概哪个进去没给我们是进去输的，没到的。 That thing like in a middle of the heat case one. That the patient that cannot come at Hachibarua. That they were. Sounds not able.
So to give you an example that is very easy for us to understand and to think about, so that involves external source, internal source, and also the supported consciousness. So the external source, for example, I sense power, and this I sense power is the uncommon empowering conditions. So these are the terms that we have covered before in previous subjects. So I sense power is the uncommon empowering conditions. And this I sense power is the internal source. So internal source, and the external source is the object apprehended by I's consciousness. Object apprehended by I consciousness, for example, a form, for example, flower. So a flower is a form, and this form is an object. This form is the object apprehended by I sense consciousness. So in dependence on this external source, which is the form, the flower, and the internal source, which is the I sense power, then the result of this is I consciousness that apprehends flower arise. So the result of the result, which is an I sense consciousness, I consciousness that apprehends flower arises. So you see, so it evolves. So it talks about the external source, internal source, and also the supported consciousness.
That is a count to use the Katuba, meet that developed me by huge count to was it. Me by huge count to. They won't be count to. They but not huge count to was that.
I think you won't be count to wrong.
That I would they won't be count to land.
Then won't
they won't count to. Me by huge count to. They but not huge count to was that Georgie did it. That Georgie did some changes only to Rosarwa. Rosarwa. Now you can't do Katu Shasana, they won't be count to. They won't be count to. Me by huge count to. They but not huge count to. And I just sit down to say, the Georgie.
Yeah. So another way to list these 18 constituents can be 6 constituents of objects of observation, and 6 constituents of sense power, the support, and 6 constituents of consciousness, the supported. Yeah. So basically, the 6 constituents of object, sense power, and sense consciousness. And the first one, object, refers to the objects of observation, and the second one, sense power, refers to the support, and the consciousness refers to the supported.
What did you want? That thing was that and that city was a very nation. Timo University. These joined someone or he another member shoes. Here, Timo my village is that and Timo my village and Timo nation was my champion.
The Jipo Maro.
That they were my
they will lie your lazy tomorrow. That's all. Yeah. So so basically we have already covered the common prologue. I have already highlighted in different colors. So this is the common prologue, and then the uncommon prologues, starting with, at that time, the transcendent victor was absorbed in the samadhi on the categories of phenomena called perceptions of the profound, and continue up to here. So we have already covered the first sentence. So this highlighted in darker color, and this is the uncommon prologue.
Timo relation that the casting of the Shimba, the good that the table teaching as it did, and the good that the table to the Timo relation level, and also Sanjay Johnny de Gibbon, Mong by Jingula Pay, Nijin, no candidates got in Zebaina. How much on some of them, the good that the table teaching on the persons, but some of the two shows Josh was the Sundarwa, Sonwa. That didn't do, and the Kanda, I had got in the chance of 이 장소가 이 와서가 된 규모 민시스로 와. 안다와 규모 민시.
So the common prologue starts with thus did I hear one time, or this did I hear one time. So and regarding this sentence, I have already explained before. It was instructed by Buddha to his followers that in the future, when you compile the words, when you compile the words of the Buddha's teachings, then you insert this into the at the beginning of the compilations, so, which is thus did I hear at one time. So this is common to all. This is common to the sutras. So whether it's a Vinaya or the Sutra, Pitakas, then they are all started with thus did I hear at one time.
그때 너 감각 같은 평소 제우도 두서 토마카도 제우도 두서 주쇼세 다 상지가 순사로와 이 순사리 다 인시 규모 인시 와세 규모 인시 대창아 다단다든 가서 인시 규모 많이 인시스 오와 다든 규모만 제르니 뭐 거랑 아마도 현달을 자요 간다와 제르니 뭐 거랑 하나 자야 들어와 너 희나 간다 두스 자요 뭐 제르니 뭐 거랑 뭐 자야 레스다 단다 누구 수사도 간다 데이트 좀 상담하고 이제 지금은 뭐 멋있게 뛰는 얼마 뜻이 여러와.
So common prologue also means that here you can read here also. So, yeah, so common prologue means that it is common to all scriptures or to all sutras. So at the beginning of the sutras or the scriptures, then it starts with thus they are here one time. And uncommon prologue means that it is not common to other sutras. So uncommon prologue means that this prologue is you can only find this prologue in this sutra. For example, the Heart Sutra. Then you do not find this uncommon prologue in other sutra.
다들 나가서 내시 팀어 치들을 막 전화서 치는데 내시 된다만 되고 제만 되고 이 상황도 지다. 대체 좀더 사모노와 시체 지나라 팀의 넘버 슈소가 다 지나라 슈소사다 맞아 풍봉아 수지 풍보된다 이제 맞을 봐. 소위 풍보된다 이제 맞을 봐. 그와 수지 풍보대 수지 풍보로 이제 맞을 또 수지 풍보될 또 많이. 다 소위 풍보된다 소화하기 쉽지 또 소위 된다 또 많이. 다 맞아 감조지다 제시존 창사마대 이 로운도 사모 취지 나라지 띵에들 넘버 다 취지 나라다 맞아 풍봉아 강조지 진실 존이 샤이바 오다 띵에지 남용바 주야기 취시대 맞아배 다들 막 외소의 취지 나라서다 가도지배 공범나게 되도 동반이다 수지 공범 많이 주고 동안아 양바샤와 한다 소위 공부에 많이 주고 동안아 양바샤와 좋아 다 왕복 강갈마 대왕복도 미바이지 칸도 대만나지 칸도 참아 되도 다르는 마 또 상당히 지금 도도지 상당히 지고로와 다대 참아 되도 많이 주고 동안아 띵에들 되라 양바샤도에서 디 에스는 내가 지고로와
도도에 나 시제야
도도 이래는 막 상당히 더 야슈래 대땅 마트바이나 간다 최 당지 때도 많이 주고 동 동바라 양바샤니 슈리에서
최 당지
최 당지 때 발자지는 되거든요 좋아 최 당지장 이지 마두 동화도 띵인지 제가 양바샤니 슈리에서는 던지고 간다 좋아 다르레리 상판들의 아쉬움이라 가서 공법의 수지 공법 소리 상황 샤트 레리 상판들의 그 수지 공법라 하자기 난지게 까노로와 난지 상황 짐바데 까노로와 짐바데 휴정을 까노로와
So today we covered at that time the transcendent victor was absorbed in a samadhi on the categories of phenomena called perceptions of the profound. A samadhi also called concentration. Yeah. So on the categories of phenomena called perceptions of the profound. So this sentence, whenever you recite Heart Sutra, or when you recite Heart Sutra and when you come to this sentence, then it's very good to do meditations in relation to this sentence. So categories of phenomena are the 5 aggregates, 12 sources, and 18 constituents that I've mentioned just now, right? So yeah, then how do you do meditations in relation to this line is categories of phenomena are 5 aggregates. So 5 aggregates are form aggregates, feeling aggregates, etc. So then you think this form aggregates is empty of inherent existence. So this form aggregates is empty of inherent existence. Then this feeling aggregates is empty of inherent existence. Then you can think, if you can, then you think individually of these 5 aggregates, 12 sources and 18 constituents, that they are empty of inherent existence. And then you try to focus your mind on this concentration, that these 5 aggregates, 12 sources are empty of inherent existence. So you can think individually of these 18 constituents, or you can also think in brief. So you can just think that our 5 aggregates are empty of inherent existence, 12 sources are empty of inherent existence. You can even think in a more summary, shorter summary. It is that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. So if you if you set in equipoise, meditating on the concentrations that realizes the emptiness of all realizing the emptiness of all phenomena, that they are lacking of inherent existence, then it will be able to stop those grasping, especially those the strong grasping.
다 대신 3월 상담은 다 소속 수치고로 상담한 거지. 나서 배 나서 연구 강간 내사가 가서 수분으로 와. 수분들이 다 수분을 위주로 동안 수분을 위주로 동bat이 띵인지가 좀 봐주는 쉬는 거예요. 네 상담한 거.
라 소소래.
수소지지 수분데. 다 수소배 나서 3월 때 나 장자 로게 자와로 가서 나서 수분들 미네 나 로고 다 간다. 다 랑이 수고 랑이 집에 동안 집이 띵이지 될라 냠바샤네 간다 슈디 요래서 리상을 따를 때 수고게 수고 랑이 집에 동안 상황이 되고 와 어디다 다 현대 땅마도 많이 비치고서 땅 디버리스.
If you are not able to think in extensive way, then you can just think on a specific point, which is the form aggregates. So see, this form aggregates is our own body. So you just think about your own body, because when we talk about I, the conceptions of I arises mainly due to these form aggregates. So you can just focus on meditating on the emptiness, as empty of inherent existence of this form body. So then you you try to focus your mind on it, and then you think, then you try to focus your mind and then to do the meditations on these concentrations of your form body being empty of inherent existence.
다음 어서데 지산주 자가께도 시바 되니마 마보야 말에 탑지도 슈티에서 디벌 통통마저마다 저 상호단에 된다라고 지셔서로 와. 도도지 세는 네트나 야본 돈데 마신제 받으시 민비 니보세디 근데 그다음에 개발되는 거서 비슷한 아시에로 비슷한 아시에 간다들 치바시 비슷한 치바시 다 돈데 마신제 받으시 민보세 되게 된다는 말 시에래 다들 상황이 나와
타마티 가리시요래
타마티 치바시 되어라 가서
기주시라
치바시와 치바시 되이마 뭐다들 설마 도도지 마트리 in that channel the goal matrix and the summary shows sketching the the three on the dimmer trio mother days it only the summer no he actually not that thing number shows the tender the team of your mother the dig together the sound and what's what shows what's what you know indeed sure.
Yeah, so we have not covered much of the Heart Sutra. So basically, in the language of India, then up to this sentence, at that time, the transcendent victor was absorbed in a samadhi on the categories of phenomena, core perceptions of the profound, up to this sentence. So up to this point, I have already mentioned about what to think about in relation to the title. And then when we come to the common prologue, starts with thus they are here one time, then what to think about, like for example, the 5 perfections or the 5 excellences. And then at that time, And then this sentence starts with at that time, then it indicates the 4 attributes. So it's very good to to contemplate and to think about the meaning of these words, and then so to make sure that you understand the meaning.
다 지는 거 정말 양디 체제 들만 지를 해요. 다 저도 그래 상관없다. 네. 마음보면 창장도 맞아야지. 바리 지는 마야 그 시사지로. 자, 로다데. 아무 바리 지는 말로 그래. 야, 이걸 비트 사만 중중도 비치잖아. 예, 시다 세는 또 말. 아무 걸 바리 시사지네. 아무 지지지도 마 양지로냐 보고 뭐 양자로. 양자들 마 상관없다. 양자 계속 말이 마 시바. 지대가로 마. 상관없다. 이때 같은 밴드와 같은 논리그래. 어떤 양식이로는 뜻세는 게마다 진짜 얘기를 좋아. 다 고르지로 퍼퍼퍼퍼 치는 밴드 받지 로자이나. 다 리파야 보여봐이나 어디 자그래. 이 리파 치는 상황 매봐이나. 이 주사지 매봐 차는 거 간다. 이제 두고 말지.
So when I say to contemplate on these on these sentences that we have covered, then it is good to, for example, if you want to contemplate on the first part, the common prologue, then you just read "Thus there here" one time, then up to this point, then you start to contemplate the meaning instead of reading from the beginning up to the end. Then only you come to think about the first sentence, because if you are of sharp faculty, then it's okay. Then you understand. You are able to contemplate it. And if you are not the sharp faculty type, then it's good to read a sentence, read a small part, then think about it, and then also if you can, then you can also read a commentary text in relation to this part as well. Then after you develop some understanding of this sentence in your mind, then you proceed to the next sentence. So until you develop some understanding in your mind, then it's good to read, then you think about it. If you don't quite understand, then you read again the second time, and you read again the third time. So I will stop here. And do you have any questions?
Hi, Geshe-la. Selena here. I'm wondering, in relation to the 5 aggregates, our delusions like ignorance, does it fall under the category of discrimination or compositional factors?
So Geshe-la, pubunga kola tishi kala ni pina shashana ngangzogi nyumoina mariba pina shashana di dushila kongsu dogiona yangna dujila kongsu dogiona
dujil legres
dujiro
dujil kumbala dujil kumbala
sumbadero. It belongs to the 3rd aggregate, the aggregates of discrimination.
Okay, thank you.
Geshe-la. Hello, Geshe-la. Can I? Yes. From the dependent origination, we start off with ignorance, then formation, then consciousness, then name and form. So we get the karma comes in from there. The 5 aggregates comes from there. So actually karma is a second item on the 12 links, which brings about the formations, the name and form. But when Geshe-la explained the 5 aggregates, Geshe-la started with feelings, from feelings, discrimination, and then karma is created from that. Yes, I know that sequence is also logical, but on the other hand, how do I tie them together? You know, so which comes first and which comes? I know they are interdependent, but I cannot explain it. You know, need some help from Geshe-la.
So Geshe-la tendi yela juni na di thambo yela thambo de mari baro yela ni ba de duje ene de somba de nam xie dang su ming dang su re ming su de wo ene de de le re sa ming su ina de kaza 공기 차니 시와이나 디 부모가 들리기 위해서 이제 아주 부모가 기갑라 부모가 갑기 가자 갑라 시도 애니 디 부모가 있는 수 초와 두시 두지 남시로 아이라 이네 티니 야나 주니나 두지에서 돼 두지 니바데 니바데 두지데 레바레스 애니 디 민당 수이나 데 올라 레요라 데 예랑가와 시바데 시방가와 데 레요라 애니 디 짐바 조당다 애니 디 야나 주니 베나 차샤나 애니 디 가자 테네 주와레스 그래서 템템이 좀 말했어. 이내 지 니바 델레기 오레스. 지나 데 오올라 레기 오레스. 부모가 시비가. 근데 감도상 간디 삼로 당고 요나스. 니바디 니고 니바디.
더 땡땡이라 저리도 가서 레사당 림바데 도스 레고리. 아보 마리 비크네나 데 원게 레사 그래서와 데 원게 레사. 다 마리 비오키나 데 원게 레사 어디 다 데 원게 레사 어디 레사야 들었대. 에 초와 데dun다 뭐다 장소 리고리 마리바 대왕 레사오리 로아 이 리고리 대가로 게 가완도 마리스 마리바 대왕이 에 레사오리 데 초와 데두 맞아 초와 데두라 레사바다 지당 가서 에 초와 뇽아 장지 배 레사라고 말했어 초와 데두 배슈다 데라테네 디히 나서 따바리스 디히 나서 따바 대왕 레사로 그랬어 디히 나서 따바 대왕이 로아
두시나마
디히나서 따바왕기 텔레사는 그래서 로아 원 디히나서 따바왕을 먼저 초아 레바까지 레사서 디게지 신경 말했어 로아 디스 디게지 신경 말했어 그 초아 데두나서 레바 딜라테네 마서 디히나서 비도다 그래서 초아 딜로아 딜레 가와케 요 말해서 마서 아무 말이 비키네나 데 마리바 대왕게다 마리바 대왕게다 너무 마모지 워로아 레사로야 진진의 마모여와 진진의 마모여리 뭐 대왕의 레사 대 레지 바자의 나시된다샤 다 신다 간다 가서 드고 다 안두시다 반대的就是마모즈야지로와 진진이다 그래서 요리스 진진게 벌을 요리스디 일치단 개와가 너무 말했어
이는 공기 되게 있으라 캥기요가 있으라 그래서 두지 나데 동보 시바데 레기오레스 이니 텐데 예라 주니나 두지데 니바데 레바레스 이게 여러 있으라 부모가 이값수 시도 두지데 시바데 레바라
데치다 레사사의 인식이라고 그러지 맞아 매일레 때리라지만 두비 부모들레 부모서야 돼 맞아 제부터 시어와 and then dream the show the in the lessons was a poor like the lesson of the Islam. So, Miss Tindi, you're not to my show the mother Mizuki Pumbo doing as you're not to Pumbo to the Shinama jail level. Jail level. Not so lessons like shitty Pumbo the Islam. So, yes. So, if Pumbo Chisel Pumbo Dilla, a minute take on that lesson of this lower Rami. As a Pumbo got my parish Chatanji, Leodi. 맞아 때리에 나한테 말려오디 풍부 줘야 돼 말이 비kin나네 때 맞아 말이 비kin나 레사사데 풍부 질라 미고라 풍부 가마질라 미네 레사는 거라 말이 봐 대왕 레사는 거라 달레 코랑게 때리는 말이
풍부 가마라 때네로
레사 거라 맞아 레스타우디 풍부 질라 때네 가다 레사는 거래서 풍부 가마질라 때 맞아 풍부 가마데 레사우디 소소 야 풍부 사바 지토디 또 얼마 젤 레고라 젤 레고라 되게 개와도 말했어 내가서 미주 때에 두서데 풍부 사바지 마 두게 신고라 레지 사네 레티만 데브림바게도 마치 두단 신고라 데브도 와 데브도
이리티가자 개왕이 이리티 시기로
지와 니나 좋아라 가서
부모가 예값수 시비가 라인에 대한 수 부고세 대에 레사비
시도 이거 tun지 코라 지오디 풍부세와 지와 심말 마샤고 내서 가서 지와 심말 샤고 내서 데 마리바게 레사도 부모가 지라 미네 레사라고 내서 와
부모가 말라 때네 마리바세
다 어쨌든 부모라고 지라 미네 레사라고 와 사라고 와 근데 마리바 되게 제스 부모 두세와 세심말 마샤고 내서 세심말 부모 미스테르 투아 세심말 두가시는
부모 두세 대 세심말
샤고 당이 단다 레사다 단다 세들라 비즈 레사랑 시고로 와
Yeah. So the traveling depend 12 links of dependent arising, then start with ignorance, compositional factors, consciousness, etc. And these 5 aggregates form aggregates feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. So 5 aggregates talks about how one accumulates karma on this body, on the body in this current life. So 5 aggregates talks about one life, how one accumulate karma on these form aggregates or on this body. And 12 links of dependent arising, even though those name and form, it comes later, but it involves 2 rebirths already. It involves two lives. Yeah, so that's why name and form, it comes later. So due to the previous, due to the karma accumulated on the body in the previous lives, then one experienced the results of name and form in the next lives. So it already involves 2 lives. Yeah, so like for example, the ignorance, the first limb is ignorance. Then it talks about one life, or you can say in this life. And then when it goes to the 4th limbs, right? For example, name and form, then it is next life already. So two different lives.
Thank you, Geshe-la. I get it.
Geshe-la, can I ask a question, please? Can hear me? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is pertaining to the aggregate of discrimination. I'm just looking at when we were doing, the mind and mental factors, and this is one of the 5 omnipresent mental factors. And the definition that was given in Asanga's Compendium of Knowledge, it says that discrimination has the characteristics of knowing upon aggregation, and it has the entity of apprehending the sign, apprehending the mark, through which one designates an expression to objects of perception, hearing, differentiation, and knowledge. But when we talk about superimposition and denigration, doesn't that already involves a delusion coming in? But, when we talk about this discrimination, there don't seem to be this superimposition and denigration. It's just merely like what Geshe-la was giving the example earlier on. This is red, this is yellow, this is green, It's just recognition or discerning that they are different with its characteristic and all. It's just a mental factor which clearly distinguish the particularities of an object. That's my understanding. So I don't know, is that understanding wrong? I always thought that it was a neutral thing. It was just a this discerning something. Can please clarify? Yeah. So I guess basically is I have a bit of confusion about that superimposition and denigration coming in. Thank you.
뭔가 대시가 두시요라 두시 공부 있는 저 생존 대 장외가라 양 건종하게 나니 지기로 있어 두시에서 ini dushi na yang tangin gisla dushi di gavikala ini pena shashana di kabori di maboro ini andi jondo dan kunde de yang yoro wajala dushi gi yang jondo dan kunde chi yoro ko dewa ko devi yores ini jondo yana kunde 진리 지기요나 ini di nyomong ta yuyo bara wajala di kapsu 도에 갈라야나 대구 고아 대에 갈라 애니데 요몽데 유차이나 대한 가자는 요몽데 쪽 지기요르베스 쪽 냠도 쪽 지기요르와 가이스나 공기 삼수이나 두시에서데 당용 자우지리사 당용세데 양 가자 디카보리 디마보리 에디양 구와 대바다 안에 디 존도데 매와 Samidus,
말에 this is 단요 말이고.
Mm.
단요 말 같은 this is the 탄이나서 알고 있잖아. 이 다시 까보 먹어서 청소 거대야 치죠. this is the 탄이나서 도봐. 탄이나서 근데 야와스 근데 두아레스. 근데 레바레스 근데 말레바레스. 이게처럼 까보 먹어서 이 보다 최대야 치죠. 근데 탄이나서 근데 레바 근데 말레바. 근데 탄이라 this 탄이나서 따발 등에 레사는 거지. 레사는 그래서 어디 디레스니 근데 까보 근데 마보를 해서 이 디시기 배 탄에다가 빼 고대야지 다 단다시는 디시기 탄이나선도 봐서 단다데
두시는
탄이나선도 봐 탄이나선도 세워야 되는데 레반데는 물레반데는 까보는 나보세 이 탄이나선 따고 와 근데 또 탄이 됐다발라 뛰니 땡아서 다 레사로 간다 근데 까보 근데 마보를 때 고대 돼야지 디시사 산업 안다 된다 도도 떠나야 탄이나선 동계지 내라고 그래서 탄이나선만 동계지 땅에서는 가서 듣게 찾게 말이야 땅에서 가서 가서 지가 좋아할 샤바냐 좋아 땅으로
그래서 두시세 대한 그래서 리니기 기체시
얘네 제반지 얘네 제반지 봐 근데 야와는 근데 두어서 탄인 동계 탄이나선만 동
얘네 그래서 두시세디 두시기 뭐세 대한 그래서 상보 매바 년바 매바 자고 애니한테 그래서 디 원진 치바 점리 상비도
탄이나선 동계
얘네 탄이나선
근데 레바는 근데 말레바는 탄이나선만 동계
공기 삼수
이게 탄이나선 동계지 시바지 예스
두시는 요몽기 조지요나
콜라 도 용게 요라 내게 요라 지나지나
조지
안다고 도 진게데 디시스와 들에 탄이 내무 도 진이야 레바라 말레반 탄이 동계 말레바라 레바 탄이 동계 니워
요몽기 조기요라 이제라
도체바 요레스
조치와 요레 요 말이 니가
요레 도체바 요바야
나서 yeah, so discrimination is not
된다도도 탄이나선 동계지 예스 디시스
yeah, so discrimination is not neutral is not neutral. Yeah, discrimination can be accompanied by afflictions and can be not accompanied by afflictions as well. So it's not necessarily that it is neutral, that it is free of afflictions. So it can be accompanied by afflictions as well. So the example that I mentioned just now when I explained aggregates of discriminations, saying, oh, this is why this is red, is for us to understand. So, and besides that, beside this, this is why and this is red, and these discriminations also discriminate things that this is good, this is bad. So this discrimination also do this. So basically, discrimination is the one that imputes or that labels, that imputes different labels. Yeah, designate different labels or they give different labels. So this discrimination is the one that gives all sorts of labels, saying this is why this is red. Beside that, then this discrimination also discriminates that this is good and this is bad. And because of these, then karma is accumulated.
풍부가서 버리 자워서 그래서 샤다들 배 방법 전세지면서 맞을 때 때리 예나 좀 코알라 배 찌와냐고 꼬라 제 버리를 따다디래 로트 버지 이거를
나 공다.
근데 풍부가 버리 샤다디 레사다게 신발 따다 로트 버리습니다. 근데 따는다고 샤반디 키에 따는다고 샤다디 레사다 고린다 로단 친구 잘하고 있어. 맞아 풍부가서 마 샤오드 레사다 고린다 따다지 누구요 이제 샤다둘라
코알라 레사다 바로
찌와라야 레사다 고린지로 이 따다지 로트 버지 뜻이 뭔가 머리도 잘 그랬어. 다들 버는 듯이 제가 따누라고 하셔야 따누를 되게 로당 레사에 이 로당을 깔래 하고 참 그랬어.
코아기와 랭이야기
고린데. 맞아 부모가도 샤다데 코알에 찌와라 이야기. 다 소소 찌오리는 코알에 찌와라 고린데 따다래 와. 어디 고린
샤베 김제는
어디.
그래서 yeah, and these five aggregates there is a reason for 5 aggregates to be listed in this particular order is because it is the order through which one accumulates karma, and as a result of this, one take rebirth in samsara. Yeah. So if this discrimination were said to be neutral, then it is difficult to explain these 5 aggregates in the order through which one accumulates karma, and as a result of this, one take rebirth in samsara.
I guess perhaps I should rephrase my question that it is not necessarily neutral, but neither is it always associated with superimposition and deprecation. Am I right to say that? It is, I mean, by what Geshe-la had explained, it can be, you know, with affliction, and it can also be without affliction, right? Because I mean, if we say that it isn't always a superimposition, deprecation, then we would have to say our mind is always with this, because this is an omnipresent mental factors, right? So it is only if it is accompanied by an afflictive mental factors, then you have that superimposition and deprecation, right? Otherwise, it can just be, as Geshe-la had explained, it's a labeling. It's just the entity of discrimination is just to distinguish the particularities of an object, right?
So
That is my question. Yeah.
So tindi ina Geshe-la tishe gyab tsane, ini yang ngi kowa ina di tada inas. Dushi zade yang
The entity, the entity of discrimination, I guess I'm trying to understand, is just labeling, right? It need not superimpose or deprecate. Am I right to say that?
So, yeah, ini di dushi zade yang nyomongi dro chia yores tam. Mongi nyomongi dro machia yang madua tindi yoro. Dro machia tindi yores. Ini kaisina dushi zade yang kundunga ye nani jiro isla. Kisi ngansu kasan nyomongi dro chegi yona. Ini ngansu ki sem yang tapa tindi chegi yoro. Kaisina di kundunga se yoro. Kundunga se yona kongi 시당 있는 데 군중가세 때 니디 답아 요바로 니 답아 요와이나 니 강소기 두시기 양 요몽기 답아디 조체기요나 니디 답아 존도단 군대 데 체기요로 타니 나초바 점 타니 나초바 도바디 마로스 이네 나 뭐 두시기 뭐세데 두시기 뭐세데 타니 나초바 도바
당케시
당케데
당이로
당케디로 공기 양 고와디제서
디시스도 마스 간단히 예사사도 마스 소소 지워 호알에 지워리 다데 공부가도 그렇게 시그레스 와
수기요로
소소 지워 가서 호알에 과당 림바 다리나선도 소소 지워긴 다리나선도 그 인디시나 같이 녀목이 생기 차그레스
녀몽기
녀목이
생기요로
진짜 옆 차그레스
수수기요기 두시요
당아서 지다 파비다 다좀 같은 디질한 디시요레스 손 디실랑 가서 녀목이 신스메 라고야 키요 말레스 만조 단단 레사다 기제 시고 요아서 미기 공부라 미네 초와 디두 제 초와 디두라 지는 디시나서 따와서 코알라 마치와레 당기 공부 디시기 레사다 노다는 게 시고 요레스 무슨 디시 강가라 지단 디시서다 타니나서 농기지 시바지 잡고 요레스 디시 고랑도 와 타니나서 농기지 다 소소 쪽이 된디 레상게 디시 있는 녀목 생기 차그레스 녀목 생기 비 차그레스 녀목 마치고 디시요 말 지워
Yeah, so if we're talking about the nature of the entity or the nature of discriminations, then yes, it is the one that that gives different labels, or that gives different labels, or that imputes different labels. That is the nature of discriminations or entity of discriminations. However, when I explained the discrimination just now, then it was related to how an ordinary beings circle in samsara. Therefore, when the discrimination was explained in this context in relation to an ordinary beings, then such discriminations is necessarily pervaded by afflictions. So it is necessarily.
I have one. Can I ask one question?
Thank you.
One quick question.
Okay. I want to ask one also.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Can I ask one quick question? Ken.
What?
Yeah,
Wow,
so
you're doing
just
one shot. Give me one.
yeah, sorry, just to make sure Sally understands. Yeah, it is Sally. Are you clear?
Yes, I do understand now where Geshe-la is coming from. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
Okay. Geshe-la, so Ken, Kwa, can you help me? Allow me to ask this quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Ken, my question is, Geshe-la just now meant when he was Geshe-la was explaining about the 5 aggregates. Geshe-la mentioned that the aggregate of form happens then feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. But there's a passage in Precious Garland, Nagarjuna, who says, I think I discussed with Geshe-la some time ago, where he says that as long as there is a grasping of aggregates, so long therefore there's a grasping of I. And further grasping of I, there's action, and further to that, there's rebirth. This indicates that the grasping of I, or the grasping of the aggregate, which is the grasping of the form of body, is what causes the rest of the aggregates to happen, feeling discrimination in others. So grasping comes from ignorance, right? I mean, without grasping, you will not grasp your body as something, and you want to have feelings and other things for it. So when Geshe-la mentions that ignorance comes under discrimination, it's like comes up, somewhere down the line. What I'm asking is, isn't ignorance the cause of grasping?
So 당연히 디 가서 말이 바이나 두시에게 공수적이 오라 하잖아. 말이 봐. 두지야나 두시에게잖아. 두시에로 샤 전부 시사. 숨바디르에 그래서 시바디르에. 시바디. This composition. To clarify, ignorance is part of compositional factors. Feeling discrimination, compositional factors. Sorry, composition. Yeah, so sorry. I always got this wrong. If I'm not mistaken, I always got this wrong last time also. Anyway, so ignorance is part of. Ignorance is part of compositional factors. Ignorance is part of compositional factors. Just now. Most of the mental factors belongs to the compositional factors aggregates. Yeah.
So that means all the aggregates take place almost simultaneously. All the form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness almost happens simultaneously, or one after another, like a staircase. You take step 1, step 2, step 3.
그래서 포봉아 이나디 그래서 지자도 디 용기요나 지자도 종기요나 양나 지지게 종기요나 지지게 종기요나
포봉아 지자도 도약해요 말은 가서 소매다 수지 공부 도약해요 말아. 이 지자도 도약해요 말이지. 디 소화세 왔다는 가서야 이거다 지어라. 가서 때리나 때리 소화 너무네 때 지자도 도약해 내봐요 말이지. 이거 말이지.
그래서 지지 이제 알아요.
이제 때 참아디 지자도 도약 내봐요 말이지.
지자도
디킬로 두고 때 소매다 수지 공부를 해야 하냐 가서. 공부 심하대요 말이지. 맨날 지원이나 공부 심하대요 말이지. 대 참아냐도 지자도 두고 말이지. 가시 뒤에 제발 가시 소화를 빼. 나서 때리나 지금 막 지어대 소화 쓰기 전에 레야도 말이야 되리와. 소화 레트고 마티마도 리어라.
그래서 그러나 이제 부모가 이나디 뒤질라 대 이거 요마라. Yeah, it is not.
조금만 뭐 그리고 이제 소매 코로나 상황도 안 되고 그래서. 소매를 지어야는데 수지 공부를 줘야 말이지.
그래서 yeah. 지상 예바 요 말이 야나 디 예바 요 That's all. Yeah, so it is not certain that these 5 aggregates will happen simultaneously. So, like for example, yeah, so 5 aggregates do not happen simultaneously. The reason is because formless being, they do not have the form aggregates. And this is,
Sumina Chevalish, Shima Dema. Then as a 10 year actually Marimba Chevali, and what Swachi, but the Machiba Yuama, Majima, India, so it did, Missy, no Malay, the Rimba, the Mazo, Swan, Yuangape, no the Chumaji, the Jimbo, Rotanua.
What ended the air.
Oh, the Riba, that's what Machidan Bajura. The Riba, it's not some nearby your teacher the tree nearby your Maris.
Because I'm Shiboti. Higher Shiboti, any and the Jija to Yeah. So, like for example, an ordinary beings who take rebirth in the formless realms, then since and he or she doesn't have a form aggregates. So yeah, 5 aggregates do not happen simultaneously, and even the rest of the 4 aggregates also do not happen simultaneously as well.
So where does grasping come from? Where does grasping? Grasping comes from ignorance, right? It's ignorance which causes us to grasp at our aggregates and causes us to circle in samsara, right? It's grasping. But where does grasping come from? Grasping comes from ignorance, correct?
Because Rinjin Tewa Yoro Isla, Rinjin Tewa in young the CCG or in Wama and Kishla Kandishu Sari, young in the CCG Tata Tangi Midokanda, any Kasa. Pumbola, Zingiona, anything Anzin de Legate, Anzin de Yoina, the Lesa Waina, the Kiwa Legate Royal. Anything you see Pumbon Zia, the city and Nanzi, and Nanzi, Kumboya, the city of Nanzi, Legate as well. Kumboya, Nanzi, Yoshin, Lesa, Pumbo Zimba, the Yoina, Pumbo Zimba, the Pumbo Zia, Pumbo de Kanda that to Manziba Yoshinjela, Pombo Zimba de Maribara Isla, Maribara comes to Dogiora, Mariba comes to Dogiona, Mariba comes to Dogiona, any Mariba de young Dujira, Pombo Shiva de Duji de Legiora, any young because 60 data waina, any tampo de Mariba Yogache, any day Pombola Zimba Yogache, Nanzin Yogache, Le Sagi Yore, any Tama de Kiwa Legioras, anything as I see Pumbo Chi Danzi, Kansak Danzi Shishiwar. Ambo Chi Danzi, Kansak Danzi Shishiwar. Pumbo Zimba the Chi Danzi Paja. Kansak Danzi New Lohare. Pumbo Dad. Ziba Yoshinchela, then Nanzi the Tea or Reservoir, Nanzi Yores, Nanzi the Yoshinchela, Lesan or Reservoir, or Chisipo, Nanzi and Yanate, then Lesa Bateo and Techuan over Reservoir, Jito Citeres. Then also met Tandanga Pumbo Mini Lesa, the dedication of Shiguama, and another Jito Cite, Pumbo, Chi Danzi, Kansa Danzi Shishiwar. Danzi, no Tambu Chi Danzi, Kansa, Chili, Kansa Danzi Chihuahua. Chi Danzi, Shichine Kansa Chihuahua. Pumbo data to Zimba Yoshinchi, they want to Kansa with data to Nancy delivery reservoir. Nancy the Yoshinchela, Lesa of the reservoir. Lesa Shinjela, Techuan in Duari to Lachiwan, who is the register cities. You need the Kazapumbonga, not the Kazamariba.
Pumbonga, Tanga Shigo, Pumbonga, Pariki Shigo Maridi. The Pumbonga, Pumbo data Danzi. Chi Danzi, Pumbo Danzi, Chi Danzi. Chi Danzi, the Yoshinjela contact Danzi, the Chief Reservoir.
The Pumongagi,
Arika Shigo.
You need the Pumongagi Kapsu, any the Maribas that day, anything Duji, Shiba de Duji,
and the Jina Keo Maribo. Then the Jina Keo Marisco. Then Chi Danzi, the contact Danzi Kitchen.
You need the Kazan Pumongagi, yeah. So
very good. This is Nagatuna. This is I know this is good.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, the verse that Jaya mentioned just now. So basically, because of the graspings of aggregates, then there comes the grasping, the self-grasping or grasping of I, and then the actions is accumulated, then one takes rebirth, right? So these first two lines talks about the self-graspings of phenomena and self-graspings of persons. So, and then because of these, then one accumulates karma and one takes rebirth. And this verse doesn't shows is not related to how is not related to the order of 5 aggregates. Yeah, it's not related. Yeah.
Okay.
근데 시바디나 개요 말해서 레 리지디나 각해요 말해서
Mm,
단다데 청을 넣어야 돼. 후보 다도 좀 번지바 유 신질라 간다게 당지 지 오래서 간다게 당지 지스나 간다 당지 대왕도 레상도 그래서 그 레상나 레 대왕도 된 거라 지원이라고 그래서 된다들이 저 그때 풍부 시바 레스나 간다게 풍부 시바 레스나 개요만 그때 제일 뛰고요 말.
yeah.
그 된다들이
Yeah. So how's it the graspings of sub-graspings of phenomena and sub-graspings of person. So it is a part of ignorance, right? And in this ignorance is part of afflictions, and affliction is part of positional factors. And it doesn't matter. So even if it belongs to the 4th aggregates of compositional factors, it doesn't it doesn't matter, because this verse itself talks about if one has the self-graspings of phenomena, which is grasping the aggregates, which is grasping the aggregates as a truly existence, there will comes the self-grasping or graspings of I, and then because of these graspings of I, then one accumulates karma and takes rebirth. Yeah, so the main points of this verse talks about the grasping, actions, and rebirth. Yeah, even though whether or not it is related to the 4th aggregates or not.
This very good.
Yeah.
데 된다들이다. 자 제가 하고 계신 제모처럼 하고 계시다. 지식 모지가 풍부 다도 두 번지가 요 신체라 대왕의 강사를 단지도 지역으로 해서 강단지 강사를 단지도 여바이나 대왕의 휴전벌레 대왕의 내상을 해서 그 대왕의 내상을 또 거기다 지원하려고 해서 또 관리다가 되는 거다.
Yeah. So just to make sure just make sure you understand of this verse, because it's a very good verse. So the first verse talks about as long as there is a graspings of aggregates, as long as there is a graspings of aggregates as truly existence, or truly as Dao Tu Zimba. Dao Tu Zimba. As long as there is graspings of aggregates as intrinsic existence, there is graspings of persons as inherent existence. And because of this grasping, one accumulates karma and one takes rebirth. So just to make sure that you understand this.
Thank you.
I understand. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. So just to make sure that everyone understands.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You also a question.
Affliction is part of compositional factors, everyone. Sorry. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
이저 원들의 집대 버지만 도와줘 공사장을 좀 추구세도 띵지시 제시고 그때 넘어서 버는 거지. 공사장을 좀 추구세 띵지 제시도 무슨 관계지 땡바가 되는 고생이 지방이 쇼를 좀 그때 넘어서 버는 두 분씩 가는 거 괜히 힘들게 내가 방어와 제인스 내가 간단 자리들 아무것도 안 되면 같이 되요는 와시 스타도도 들어와.
So we conclude these sessions with dedications. We dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated, especially through these Dharma discussions. We dedicate these roots of virtue for Buddha Dharma to flourish all 10 directions, and for all sentient beings to experience excellent happiness. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teachings, represented by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and may His Holiness the Dalai Lama's live eons long, good health, and his holy wishes and enlightened activities spread to all 10 directions and accomplished instantaneously. In particular, we also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabje Lama Sopa Rinpoche. May Rinpoche's live eons long with good health, excellent health, And may Rinpoche's holy wishes and enlightened activities spread to all 10 directions and be accomplished instantaneously. And we also dedicate these fruits of virtue for the world peace, and may excellent happiness prevails the world. May the world be free of disaster, wars, and conflicts. Savege wa di te nang rowa kuna kampe nang keba jisu do sang rawa yi tepe nimbo rindo se je jo janju senjo rinpo je ma keba na ke kyu je keba nyamba me ba yang kone kondo pe wa jo jambe ba wo jita kenpa dang kundo zambo te yang te jin te te dang ge jesu da lo je keba di da dang je ra ko ngo tinga nimbo je ma keba na ke kyu je keba nyamba me ba yang kone kondo pe wa jo rimi da wa rinpo je ma keba na ke kyu je keba nyamba me ba yang kone kondo pe wa jo jambe ke we ten sing yo pe we kun so do bo ze chu sun ku we le me du du ba da so du je kun do sha ten yo sun du ju be la chi se 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 kan ji ten ju kun cha na pe mo ten ten ga so la so wa de so je de le do yo ken de ma le ba kan le yu we sam pe yi shin no ka te su me ten ten ga so la so wa de so du je le do yo kan ni ra we ko we shin kan de pen dan de wa ma lu yu we de che le se wa ten ten ga so yi cha be si de ba